Welcome to 30-Minute Mindfulness. Today I thought we would look at shame. Shame's a tough one to talk about. Most people don't want to talk about it. A lot of people don't know what it is, but it's really important. We see so much shame in our society, and it's unconscious, I think. So anyway, the conversation about shame is always a good thing. So we'll do our little 5 or 7 minute talk, and then we'll go into our 20-minute meditation like normal. So guilt is saying I did something bad. Shame is saying I am bad. So guilt focuses on the behavior, whereas shame focuses on the self. Shame says, you're not good enough. You're never going to be good enough. You don't have what it takes. Who do you think you are? That's the voice of shame. Brene Brown has done tremendous research on shame, and her research has shown us that shame is highly correlated with addiction, depression, violence, aggression, bullying, suicide, and eating disorders. The only people who don't experience shame are people who don't feel. So that would be people in the sociopath category. The most common shame triggers for women are wrapped around body image and appearance. The most common shame triggers for men are wrapped around being weak or perceived as being weak. So shame touches everyone. Brene Brown says, shame is the intensely painful feeling that we are unworthy of love and belonging. It's the fear that we're not good enough. So shame keeps us small. It keeps us stuck in that same destructive pattern of life, because every time you step out to do it different, those shame demons in your mind start hollering at you. You can't do this. You're not smart enough. You're not pretty enough. You're not fit enough. You're not strong enough. You're not good enough. Whatever it is. And then if you actually step out and start doing something different, then they really chime in with that, who do you think you are? They're relentless. These voices can feel defeating, without a doubt. And we need to look them in the eye. We need to look them straight on to diminish their power over us. Carl Jung says shame is a soul-eating emotion. We counter shame by seeing clearly who we are. Another name for that is self-awareness, my favorite word. We look inside and we honestly see who we are. We see that we have the capacity for kindness and also anger. We see our compassion and also our selfishness. We see our reliability and also our inconsistency. We see our capacity to be hardworking, and we also see our laziness. We see our courage and we see our fear. We see our capacity to love and also our capacity for hate or for disharmony. Wholeness includes the light, and it also includes the dark. We don't beat ourselves up over having these aspects of dark. That would be denying or pushing away. We notice and we say something like, oh, look at that. My humanness is showing up again today. Wow. We hold the tension, that discomfort of the pain and seeing those parts of us that we're not proud of. It's hard to look at that stuff. And we hold that discomfort when we look at those things. When we're unwilling to look at the dark aspects of our wholeness, we dismember parts of who we are, meaning we sever off part of who we are from the whole. We are denying part of our humanity, part of our wholeness. And in essence, when we do that, we're shaming ourselves for being what we're created to be. We're human. And in our humanity, we have this light and we also have this dark. So when we deny any aspect of that, we're shaming ourselves, and that keeps us more entrenched in these destructive thinking patterns. Severing off any piece of who we are is a feeding frenzy for depression and addiction and eating disorders and self-sabotaging behaviors. It's a feeding frenzy for playing small. Wholeness is holding all of who we are, without pushing away, without hiding from parts of us. We allow all these parts to be there. As uncomfortable as it is, we look at those things in the eye and we allow that discomfort or that tension. We might if when we look at these parts of us, it might feel something like, geez, I'm feeling like a failure today. I really don't even feel like I can show my face to the world. I want to hide in bed all day. It's that the question that unravels this is, what's really going on for you right now? What's really living in here? If we're addicted to perfectionism, there's shame close by. Perfect is unattainable. And it's in the striving for something that isn't possible that we again cut off parts of who we are. When we deny those aspects of who we are, we're cutting off pieces. We're denying those parts access to our conscious mind. It's a form of protection. It's an ineffective form of protection, but it's a form of protection. Your body is trying to protect you from seeing what you don't want to see. So Freud called this repression. We've all heard of repression. But those aspects that we deny live in our unconscious mind. They live outside of our awareness. We can't see them anymore. Those are what become our blind spots. Those aspects that we push into the shadows don't evaporate. They don't just go into the shadows quietly. No. They when like anything, when we lock it down or we hold it down or we cage it, the response is always kicking and screaming. And that kicking and screaming from our unconscious mind manifests often in very self-defeating ways. It might sound like something in your mind, like, I don't know what happened. I didn't want to do it, but I just did it. It came out of nowhere. This reaction came out of nowhere. It felt like I couldn't stop it. Those are all reactionary things from our blind spots. So through self-awareness, we understand what we think, feel, and believe about our story. It takes self-acceptance and compassion to own our stories, to say, yes, I see that part about myself that makes me wince. And self-compassion steps in and says, that is part of you being human. No one's perfect. We all have our stuff. Shame lives in the shadows. And when we shine the light that comes from our self-awareness and self-compassion, shame cannot survive. So our experience of being human is wholeness. Wholeness is not, oh, cool, check me out. I got it all figured out. No. Wholeness is seeing our fallibility. It's seeing where we fall short. And it's expressing those hardships, that realness of who we are in safe, caring, and empathetic relationships that we have in our life or that we seek to cultivate. Shame lives in the isolated shadows. It feeds off fear and isolation. When we talk about shame with safe people, we disarm it. We shine the light in the shadows when we talk about it. We can see and talk about, when we can see and when we can talk about our missteps, our insecurities, our fears, our need to please, and those insurmountable challenges that we all face in life, we unlock the door to that cage of denial, to that monstrous, unconscious reaction. We see the stuff that's hard for us. We see our sticky spots. When we become vulnerable, as we share with others that realness, that humanness about us, we build connection, we build meaning, we build belonging into our lives. And that is what counters shame. The shame demons have a hold on us when they keep us isolated. When we're able to find meaning and connection and belonging, we begin to see that we are indeed lovable. We do matter, that people do care about who we are and about our experiences. We feel seen, we feel heard, we feel valued as a whole human being. The wonderful stuff and the stuff that makes us imperfect. We see that people accept us with all of that. And that's how we counter shame. So with that, I invite you to close your eyes and let's sit for about 20 minutes as we look at allowing all of the parts of us, as we look at seeing all that is. So take a few deep breaths and just bring yourself right here, right now. Find a posture that's upright but not rigid. posture that embodies dignity or alertness, whatever that means to you. Allow yourself to be still. To give yourself this moment, this gift of stillness. This recess from life, from going, from all the to-do list stuff. This present moment to cultivate a relationship with yourself. Notice your breath, and just let that in and out, that consistent flow, be the thing that grounds you to the present moment. Let it be your anchor to right here, right now. As we journey on our path towards deeper self-awareness, remember that it is uncomfortable to feel the aspects that we don't want to see, the stuff that we push away. It's uncomfortable. But when we sit in silence, when we sit with mindfulness, we just allow that to come up to the degree that we can. And if it ever gets to be too much, we just bring our focus back to our breath. That's our home base. Is there any part of you that you're denying or pushing into the shadows? Is there any part that you don't want to look at, that feels scary? Or how could anybody love me if they saw that? What is it that you feel ashamed of, or you feel the need to push away, resist against? Is it possible to feel the sadness or the pain or just the sheer difficulty of having to keep that hidden? Is it possible to feel the pain of whatever that is hiding in the shadows? Is it possible to also see the pain that others have caused you with their anger or their difficult emotions? Is it possible to see that as well? Is it possible to consider the human journey isn't a journey toward perfection, but rather it's a journey toward wholeness? And as I look at those things that are difficult to see inside me, can I begin to understand that that's part of the process of becoming whole? Seeing those things, it doesn't make me bad or horrible or unlovable. Those things make us human. Those shameful things touch into our vulnerability, the scary places, the sensitive spots. They touch that. But as we hold that with our own gentleness and our own self-compassion, can we begin to see that it is our humanness? Can we begin to allow our humanness to be what it is? Imperfect, fallible, and human. Is it possible to see that most of us struggle deeply with shame? It's so difficult to look at those places we don't want to see. But our wholeness comes from seeing both the light and the dark, the aspects of all of who we are. When we can hold that with self-compassion, with gentleness, we allow ourselves to be whole, to be human, to make mistakes and know that that's just part of the deal. We can get back up and try again and do it different and find more effective ways. Is it possible, just for these few minutes, right here in this meditation, to let go of the need to be perfect? Is it possible just to take a deep breath and let it out, and that exhalation is letting go of that need to be perfect, that need to be right, the shame that arises from thinking we're not right, from thinking we're wrong. In these last few minutes, is it possible to just allow who you are to be here, right here, without pushing away or denying any part? In the last few minutes, let's bring in self-compassion. I invite you to take a blanket of self-compassion and wrap it around your shoulders and hold yourself in a warm embrace, a kind intention, knowing that your intention is to seek wholeness and to find more healing. Be kind, be gentle. This process of being human is not a perfect process. It's just a process of curious attention and awareness. Hold that blanket of kind intention around your shoulders. And just give yourself a sense of honor and care and gratitude for being willing to seek a deeper understanding of who you are. And when you're ready, please open your eyes. Thanks for being here. As always, I enjoy your comments and feedback. Please leave them in the comment section or send me an email. Thanks for being here. I'll see you tomorrow.